All right, happy to give you some feedback here. Let's check this piece out. Notice you don't have a cover yet. That's fine. So, talking about your first spread, um, interesting. Um, it needs a little color, more color, to tell you the truth. Um, how could you do that? Maybe you could put a block of color behind all of this that follows your shape and goes to the fold. And it could be this gold or a lighter version of this tan or something. Um, you do have hierarchy, although it's a little um, jumpy. I do start out with the picture. I go with this. The B is competing for, it wants me to just jump from picture to this. But then I also have these, the rules, the lines. They kind of create a secondary little section down here. So I don't know if I go here to here or here to here and be stuck down here. So here's some suggestions. Let's take state of the art, which looks a little spread out. I don't know. The tracking, that is. Looks like it has like 10 or 20 point tracking on it. I'd probably put it to 0 or even minus 10. I'd move state of the art up here, or maybe multiple lines, like state of the art, or well, I'd leave art as a okay. State of the art, maybe 2 lines. Okay, and I'd probably thicken it up and move it higher. That way I go from the picture right to this stronger and larger title, so we don't compete with this. This B, you could drop to this brown, and that would help put it in second place after state of the art. Then these guys, this needs a stepping stone here, because it looks like, if I'm right, the article goes from here to this, then over here. So we have this competition. Do I go here or do I go here next? So make this type a little bit bigger or in bold or something so that I know I go from state of the art, and then this text can be bigger. It can fill up this spot right here. And art funds primary job, make that bold, and then we can go there. Okay, so those are some ideas. As I look at this, these lines are probably over 72 characters. So I would probably split that. Yeah. If this is, it looks like 9-point type at the largest, so I'd probably split that into 2 columns, and then this part right here, I'd get rid of. I just make this more of an open, increase the size of or maybe just lift up the pull quote. Yeah, because you don't want this thing hanging over if it's split right down the middle, right there. Okay, I'm going to jump over now. Next one. Okay, campaign 2008. All right. Watch out. There's a strange extra return there. Delete it right there and then add a space instead. And it does the same thing here. So fix those. I'd probably make this title a little bit bigger. That pink is so light that it just fades back. I might make a second swatch of that and add 20% black to it in the CMYK numbers. And then it would be much easier to read. Okay. Some of the photos look like they might be stretched out a little bit. So be careful when you're enlarging them. Make sure you enlarge them proportionately. I don't mind the stroke here and the lineup between the shape and this. I think you did a good job. This could be a little bit bigger, and I'd probably left justify it, and I'd use the point of this corner right there to make my justification point. And again, that text is too light in that space, so I would use the one with a little bit more black right there. Okay, so line up all this to the left, and this needs to be a larger text and a little bit darker for Associates Board. Again, okay, the line length too long, so these need to be in 2 paragraphs, even though they're short little things. You could make the title slightly bigger. Too bad there's nothing to go along with this, like picture-wise or something. You may want to, break some out by having a background. The colors that you've introduced so far could be background colors. Use this pink, this yellow. Let's see. You could use the gold or the brown. All those could be background colors so far to help maybe, make this a section right here. And then you could have this thing, Tacoma Musical Playhouse Community. Just be all about that. Maybe increase the size of this. Then they'd all be art notes, but at least one would be, separate, a little bit different. Okay, and I'm trust that you'll get the board members in there. I'm not so sure you need the stroke borders around the pictures. If you do, I would go with the lighter color or with the gray. Having these centered, a little bit expected. I'd probably go to the left and just justify it. Remember that when type's in a box, you need a little gap. So we need to add our gap there by moving the type over inside the box and maybe down. It looks a little too close to the top too. Okay. Here's a great place to put a division of color. Like this whole thing could be a background of this light gold. And then once you put the pictures in there, I would break out this page separate from this page. Ideally, it would be even better if we could include these two guys over here, because it just seems really odd that here's our new board members, blah, 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 blah. And then you turn the page and you're like, oh, there's two more. It's kind of like they don't deserve the same spot or something. I don't know, whatever. I know people, they'll get upset by that. Here, you notice how the quote mark makes it pushed in. You could go to, let's see if I got, no, I don't. In InDesign, you could go to, oh, not that one. Let's see, type, story, and choose optical margin alignment. Yeah, once InDesign gets running, I'll show that to you. Okay, again, I would use background colors, separate the pages, or at least the stories. Like take part in the art. That could all be this section. And if you lowered this, maybe you could have your angled shape. So it goes straight down, then an angle, and then across, kind of repeating the shape that you introduced right there, right here, again. So repetition with variation, a good idea. I always look forward to using that. This Joshua Green, I appreciate it's got somewhat of an alignment, but I'd probably align it with ginger right down there so that this feels like the title, and maybe make it bigger so it comes over here. And then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they'll all fit. That'd be fine. Okay, moving on to the next one. Now remember, all of this text can be at 6 point. We've talked about this. The title to that could certainly be larger, and I encourage you to make it larger. But all of these could be 6 point, and with that, you might want to double the number of columns. You've got 2. I'd go to 4. So that's something you could consider doing. That applies to all of this as well, and here. So I can see that's where you're at. I encourage you to continue using your themes. You got these themes of these lines and almost somewhat hexagon shapes. Continue using that. This type I really like. This type I like. This seems a little light for titles. It comes across a little thin to me. So something for you to consider. I hope you find that useful, and reach out to me again if you need more time, or if you got other questions. Thank you.